Welcome, amazing agents from across the country. Today is February 15th, 2018, and this is Mastermind call number 164. And if I may, guys, I just wanted to start today by just acknowledging that, another horrible school shooting yesterday. This one happened to be in my backyard. I mean, it's always tragic wherever it is, and this isn't the forum to discuss this, but it's kind of interesting in that we also deal with tragedy. We deal with people that have lost people. It's often more predictable when someone's dying, but it's always difficult. It's always a tragedy, and it's always the people that are left behind always need help. And my partners and I on Tuesday, before this happened, were talking. In the last few weeks, we've had some really good questions and responses that all of you could use help with. So we're going to set up some kind of an aid center or, probate aid center on our website with, a little bit outside the box things that you come across. We had a caller last week who had one of the relatives quit their job and were staying home and caring for the person. And we said, geez, why don't you call one of, Vitas or one of the healthcare, hospice providers. They're covered by Medicare, and I don't think the family member realized that. We had another case where a lot of older people, they get macular degeneration. They're almost blind. There's now a product by Samsung. You for $3,000, you can buy goggles and have 20/20 vision. So, and by the way, Chad, when I throw it over to you, kind of a related subject, I had one of our subscribers, one of our prospects about a half hour ago asked me again for that website where you could find a good, highly accredited estate sale companies. And again, I think that's something that should go in that area. So we want to ask all of you guys, as you come across services, even if they're like second or third removed, something that you run across that benefits the heirs, makes this process easier on them, makes it easier for you to help them, please share it with us, and we will include it in this resource center and try to make that easily available to you. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do it, maybe just a link on our website or maybe something when you open our homepage. So I just wanted to start with that, and I know all of our hearts go out to the people that with this most recent tragedy, and let's get to work and try to help the people that we can. Chad, anything you want to start off sharing with the group?
Just from a training standpoint, so I know a lot of folks have signed up for Mastery and a lot more are kind of waiting on me to schedule dates, and I'm trying to balance fast internet and quiet space with my travel schedules because it's important to me that we don't drop the calls. Everything is recorded. So it looks like I'm probably not going to be taking the trip I was on next week, so it's likely we'll do Mastery. I should know by the end of the day. So if you're waiting on me, sorry, there's only one of me. I'm doing the best I can to get this in this month. For anybody who wants to go ahead and sign up, what I do is I'll send you the January recordings, and then as soon as I book the February class, I'll register you for the live session. So you can at least, listen to the recordings and then call the training line and talk to me, on the phone. But it should be next week that we get Probate Mastery, and I will send out emails to let everybody know what the dates and times. We try to do 3 consecutive days at 2 p.m. Eastern. That kind of hits in the middle of the day. No one can, there's always somebody who doesn't make it, so we record everything. So if you can't be there for the live sessions, you can watch it as soon as the session's over. I send you a recap. And then anything, and this is for anyone who's ever taken Mastery, I mean, if there's something, if you get stumped or you didn't get what you wanted from the training, you can just call the main number, press 4, and that will get to me where I'll work with you. So thanks, everybody, for your patience. I know it's not ideal to wait on my schedule, but that's kind of what we have to deal with right now. So it should get it done next week.
Excellent. And Chad, I get asked all the time, we've got a ton of new people on this call and recent subscribers. I get asked all the time, do I need to wait to get started to take Mastery? And the Probate Fast Track, the 3, 10, 15, 20-minute videos that you have access to when you sign up is really more than enough to get started. That's kind of like Probate 101. The Mastery course is great, and we highly recommend you take it. It's going to help you deal much more effectively with the attorneys. And when we look at the statistics, the agents that stick with this program and are the most successful do go through that advanced course. But I would never advise anybody to wait to get started to take mastery, but take it as quickly, get started, get some traction, and take it as quickly as you can, because it will give you that extra level of confidence. And it's about 8 hours total, Chad, over a 3-day period. Is that about right?
Around 6 or 7.
6 or 7 hours? Okay, depending on the questions and answers. And it is live interactive training with Chad, and I don't think there's anybody. I have a couple people on this call that had state-specific questions, Chad, and I always defer to you. There's nobody in the country that's more knowledgeable of the overall process and the way it works in specific states than you are. So get signed up for that and take it. And once you take mastery, you are an alumni. You can take it over and over again, as many times as you want. Having said all that, I think it's just me and you, Chad. I'm not sure where Tim and Tom are. If you guys come on, let us know. Oh, you are here. Okay. Tim, anything you want to share with the group?
No, we're already rocking and rolling. Let's just get moving. I had a little trouble getting on. It's a little phone problem this morning, so we're all good to go.
All right, and I think Tom's on the road. Doug Cleary, you were in the queue and you dropped out. If you want to sign back in again, just hit *6 and hit 1. We'll get you back in. We only have one person in the queue now, so please, guys, we got well over 100 people on the call. We want your participation, and as much as I kind of lectured you there in the beginning to be specific with your questions, don't be afraid. I don't want to chase you off. Don't be afraid to ask them. So we're going to go ahead. Yeah, there you go. We got two in there now. So now we got 3. Thank you. First up is phone number ending in 3466. You're up first.
Yes, hi. So I've been sending letters to the probate PRs.
Yes, sir.
Two of them called me, and so I went to see both of them, presented comps and things like that, and one said that the lawyer told her, or attorney told her to talk to 5 more agents to get.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And the other one said she's working with the mortgage company who has a existing mortgage on it, and so is there anything you can recommend? I can convince them to list with me now, or to make sure they list with me in near future, or move the process forward. How would you approach that?
Tell her to go interview 5 more attorneys, and maybe she'll get better advice. So, I mean, obviously, the attorney is, we find that there's certain assumptions from the attorneys, and they assume that, they don't have very high expectations from real estate agents. However, what we find is the agents that we train that actually go out and meet with the attorneys, they're just blown away at what you're actually providing. So I would suggest that you directly make contact with the attorney in person and say, listen, I specialize in this space. I've built a team of people to specifically help our mutual clients. And I talked to Jane Doe the other day. She said you were recommending her call 5 agents, and that, quite frankly, put her under a little more stress. So I wanted to introduce myself, kind of help you understand what I do, and see if there's a way that we can, like when we have a mutual client, that they're not interviewing 5 agents, because anything they could be going through, we have a team member that can help with it. So, and then just try to approach them and sit down and talk to them. And you may eliminate that in the future from that attorney. It's probably not going to help you with this deal. What I would say, to the personal representative is encourage her to interview all the other 4 agents, or 5, whatever it was. But ask her to at least make a commitment to you that, I would try to get another appointment behind all those agents so you can be the last one in line. And find any way possible to show off and provide value to her, depending on what her problems are, and kind of plant the seeds that most real estate agents are just going to be there to talk about the real estate, and you're actually here to talk about the bigger picture of helping her through the probate process, and even after the probate process, helping her preserve and reinvest the proceeds from the sale. So the best thing you can do at this point is really differentiate yourself so the other 4 look like amateurs. or look like they have a pretty one-sided offer, like they just want to talk about listing the house, and you want to talk about her actual, well, think of her as part of your sphere of influence and a lifetime client, and you don't, sure, you care about listing the house, but what after that, you have a plan to get her over, set up an estate plan for the family for future generations, and help her reinvest the proceeds. And things like that can really make a big difference when you know you have a lot of competition.
Okay, thank you.
And the other one you mentioned, I didn't quite understand. You said that they had gone to the mortgage company. Is there a reverse mortgage on the house?
No, but she said there is some mix-up of the mortgage payments, and she's trying to straighten that out before she puts it for sale. And she's been doing that for a couple of months already, and she's losing money because she's paying mortgage and she's paying property tax. So she's not getting ahead. She's basically hurting herself.
And her intent is to keep the house or to sell it?
No, she must sell it. She must sell the house, so that she's not putting it on the market. And
have you met?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
I'm missing some. I'm having trouble hearing. I think I'm missing something. So you met with her. She's the mortgage payments are hurting, but she's making them. But she needs to sell. Is that right?
Yeah, she's out of state. She came to see the house. She met with me. I assume she met with some other agents, and she went back to. She's on the other coast, and I emailed her. Okay, let's get the process started, and she just keeps answering. Well, let me get the property inspection. Now it's a mortgage company she's negotiating with, and things like that. But she's not putting house for sale, and it's hurting her. And we all understand that because mortgage is going to charge interest anyway, and the property tax is going to be charged on those couple months, and charges are going to accumulate. But she's not moving forward. She's not.
Is she living in the house?
No, she's on the other coast. She's.
Is there personal property in the house?
No, it's empty. Nothing there.
Okay. I'll give you your opening. How long has the house been vacant?
About 6 months. Perfect.
So 2 points here. I want you to call her back, and I want you to open by scaring the hell out of her by letting her know her house, there's a 99% chance that house has no insurance on it. So in addition to all the financial risk she's taking by bleeding cash into a home that she, the estate, she also has exposure to fire, theft, vandalism, anything that would happen to the house. So there's a couple of companies that write vacant house policies. The one I use most often is American Modern. The other is Vacant Express. So find somebody in your state who can write with those companies and get their numbers and be ready for that. So when you call, just say, hey, listen, we haven't talked, and I was thinking about our conversation, and I didn't even think to suggest this to you before I wrapped up that call, but considering the house has been vacant for 6 months, I just wanted to know, have you or the attorney set up a vacant house insurance policy? Okay, well, I'm glad I called because I would say 99% of people don't even know that they need to do that. So the first step, regardless of what you plan to do here, the first step is you need to get that policy. I have a gentleman from First American and a gentleman from whatever the company I said. Would it be okay if I have them call you today to get you a quote? Or I have already gotten you a quote. Here's what it costs with American Modern. Here's what it costs with Vacant Express. So go that extra mile. Go ahead and get the quotes. All you need is the tax information to get a quote from the company. So find your insurance agent that can write those. Give him the tax card. Pull a quote and call her back and shock her with that. The next step would be, depending on her level of financial savvy, I would try to show her the time, in addition to the taxes, insurance, mortgage, I would try to show her the time value of money and how the estate is actually losing money as well as she is losing money by having that home sit there with debt on it. And you can determine her level. Whether you may go over her head with that if you go with time value of money calculation, but you can dumb it down and basically just show her that it's not in her best interest to do nothing. And you can use stories, kind of the feel, felt, found that we use. I understand how you feel. I mean, most of our clients have felt that way, but what they found is when they really looked at the financial side of it, it wasn't really in their best interest to defer or procrastinate. If we can help you get the home on the market and sell it for the most amount of money in the least amount of time, and then we can even show you after the sale how to not have to go through this with future generations, and even how to reinvest this money to grow, to get the opposite of what you're getting right now. It really kind of starts with us sitting down and getting an idea of what your goals are. I've got one spot on Friday at 3. Would that be a good time to meet? So just front load her with so much value, like kind of shock her with the insurance thing, and then give her the solution. And I would recommend handing it to her in the form of insurance quotes so it's done. The work is done. All she has to do is make one phone call. And then show her the pain of the financial pain of leaving a house sit there, gaining deferred maintenance, paying mortgage payments, paying all those other things, and then go for the appointment and say it starts with us having a face-to-face conversation. When can we meet? And I'll bet you'll land that listing.
Good. Well,
yeah, the thing...
She's out of state, so I won't be able to get her to sit down.
So what you need to find out is who's the caretaker, who has a key. Somebody does. It's a neighbor, it's a family member, it's a property manager. Somebody has a key. Go over there. Say, listen, would it be okay if I go take a look at the house? I can, I'm going to do some homework and then I'll make some suggestions of what I think is the best, the best options for you. Would that be okay? Okay. So could I then? Let's just say I can do that on Monday afternoon. Could we? That giving us not enough time to get the key? Okay, great. Because we're really busy, our calendars book up. Can we set up a time, maybe like Tuesday evening, for you and I to talk once I've seen the house? 5 o'clock work? Okay, perfect. So go look at the house, get the lay of the land, and go do your research, and then do your listing appointment on the phone on Tuesday.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
You know what I was going to add, sir, if I may, and believe me, this is first of all, congratulations on taking quick action. I mean, you just got your first set of leads and you're new to this. But it sounded, first of all, if the issue with the mortgage company was a legitimate condition, that's pretty easy. You just tell her, oh, don't worry, the title company will solve that. But it kind of sounds to me like that might have just been an excuse because she wasn't completely sold on you yet. You know what I mean? That might have just been an excuse for it might be legitimately something she's dealing with, but regardless of what she owes on the property, unless she's upside down, it doesn't make sense to wait till she finds out what she owes until she sells it. So if it was legitimate, then let her know that the title company can handle that. If it was just an excuse, all these things that Chad are telling you are really going to differentiate you from anybody else that she is going to speak to and, really put you in a good position to get the listing. So I think that's great advice. Make sense?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, you're very welcome. Anything else we can help you with?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, well, your homework assignment, come back next week and let us know you got the listing. Okay?
Yes, both of them. Both of them.
All right. Both of them, exactly. Good job at getting started. Thank you. Next up in the queue is phone number ending in 7522. You're up next.
Hi there. My name is Cindy. How are you? I'm new.
Hey, Cindy, welcome. Doing great. How about you?
Good, thanks. So I have a couple questions. One is, being in Texas, is I've seen different things about people say they can sell even though the probate's not done. Other people say no, they have to wait. Can you give me shed a little light on the truth there for the state of Texas?
Well, you guys have a probate fast lane just like we do here in Virginia, as with most things in Texas. So the attorneys oftentimes tell the family that they can't sell just because oftentimes the agent is kind of a thorn in their side during the process. So where's my commission check? When's this closing? Where's this at? The reality is a professional agent can go ahead, once the personal representative is appointed at the initial hearing, once they're officially the administrator of the estate, you can list the house in their name, go out, sell it. If for some reason, and I don't think in Texas it's common to require court approval, but if you do need court approval, like in Florida, you can go ahead and get the home under contract, just contingent upon the probate court approval, and then take that to the take it to the probate attorney. He takes it to the court. They kind of stamp it with a seal of approval, and you can move forward. The reason, and we've interviewed attorneys and heard this from the horse's mouth, the reason most of them say that is because it just keeps the real estate agent out of their way. So they have a lot of things, they have a lot of stuff to manage. Real estate's one of the pieces that they're managing. And if they work with an unprofessional or typical realtor, it can just make their life more complicated. So that's one of the things we teach in building a referral network. That's your opening to the conversation for the attorney as well. Show them how your business complements their business. Show them how your work and your team can actually make them more efficient and require less customer service. So that's kind of why people hear that. You can, language-wise, you can say, oh, yeah, you know, we talk, almost everyone we talk to says the same thing. It's because the attorneys, you know, if they haven't met us yet, they don't realize there's a company that does what we do. So you mind if I call your attorney, or would you like to call them together? And just kind of get their permission, and then move on into the conversation. Say, okay, well, assuming the attorney says it's okay, tell me about your plan. And then jump right into the real estate conversation and figure out what their plan is. What you'll probably find is they don't have a plan, and you'll hear the story and the stresses, and then you just start to pull solutions out one at a time and just layer value until at the end of the conversation, you know, they are pretty much ready to list with you. Go talk to the attorney, say, listen, here's what we do. I spoke to Jane Doe. She's ready to go. Wanted to make sure you understand, and is there anything you would like to see in the listing agreement that I might not, you know, I just wanted to make sure that I'm making this as easy as I can for you. So that's my advice.
Okay. I would have to do it a little different since I'm an investor and not an agent, but I get what you're saying.
Either way.
The other thing is when somebody says, who are you, what's your business name, what's your business address, like if one of your ISAs were to make calls for me, I work from my home. I don't use my business address. For my LLC, my attorney registered agent address, basically his office, is what I use. So that would just be the same thing. I would just direct the people that are calling to say, if they ask that, here's their business name and here's our address. Is that right?
Yeah, that's fine.
I didn't know what
other. I use a PO box for my address.
Oh, okay. I can do that, I guess. Okay. All right. And then the other thing is I noticed that whenever you're role-playing, you're always giving them a specific day and time rather than say, what's a good day to meet? You're always saying, I have time Friday, will 3 o'clock work? And I'm assuming there's importance to that rather than being more open to saying what's good for you.
Yeah, the more options you give people, the more they procrastinate or don't make a decision. So I started prospecting on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and only meeting people on Fridays and Mondays. And it completely changed my business. So I had 3 consistent office days in the middle of the week, and I had all my running around town was on in 2 days. What I didn't expect and what happened is I was a little bit afraid of, you know, having limited time.
Right.
But what ended up happening is I gained a lot more respect from the people on the phone. And oftentimes every client conversation would start with, hey, listen, I know you're real busy. This will just take a minute. And what that told me is they respected that boundary and that I had a limited amount of time, and they appreciated that time more with me. So I stuck with it like that. It was kind of a surprise to me, but the less, you know, the more busy I appear and the less space on my calendar I have, the easier it is for me to set appointments.
Okay.
Well, kind of sets a sense of urgency, too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's really good. I think that was all I had to ask. I appreciate all the support in these calls. Oh, you know what? There is one more thing. I did try to get the group on Facebook to chime in, but no one did. The idea that you had about creating a checklist of problems associated with probate and sending like a little return envelope to the people, I like that little checklist thing. So I didn't know, I know you're busy and all, but if anybody's put that together, or if you can just give me some ideas now.
I have written it. I basically just I formatted it in Microsoft Excel so it prints off on one page.
Oh.
I haven't written the letter to go with it, but I have made the list. It's just one of the loose ends that on my desk right now. So I have made the checklist. I just need to finish it up.
And Chad, I was going to say, Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
When you do, we'll get it. When you do, and we get it in, we'll put it online and make it available as one of the letter choices coming out of Mailbox Motivator as well.
Okay.
I was going to say, Chad writes his letters on Thursday between 12 and 2.
or between 3 and 6.
Or between 3 and 4. What would be better for you? Yeah, exactly. Same concept. He will get it done, though, once he commits to it. So thank you for reminding us.
Okay, but if I can do anything to help you as far as that, and then maybe if I write the letter and you edit it, I don't know if that will help you, or if there's any way I can help, let me know and send me an email. I'm Cindy Lee.
Okay. Thanks so much, Cindy.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for participating. Appreciate it. You too, Ron. We heard you in the background. All right. Next up is phone number ending in 8380. You're up next.
Hear me?
Yeah. Hey, Derek. How's it going?
Hey, good. I had a weird situation. I was just trying to figure out if there's a way to monetize it. So there was a out-of-state probate lead that I talked to. I live in Greater Chicagoland area. They live in Minnesota, so out-of-state. They said that they were trying to work with an investor to get their specific number, and I figured that the investor was going to be trying to pull some tricky stuff with them, so I just wanted to ask follow-up questions to figure out what was going on. Come to find out, he's got them on some sort of goofy contract where he's tied the property out for 6 months and gave them some large sort of, I guess, down payment or earnest money. He couldn't really tell me specifically what it was because I don't think he fully understood it, but they're essentially doing that because they're behind on payments and they don't want to lose it to foreclosure. And I was trying to suggest to them that they could short sell it and still clear the debt that way because they didn't have any money to pay off the bills of the estate. They felt that without this investor, it was not going to be possible to, I guess, pay off the bills in the estate, and they wanted to at least just ride it out and see what happened. And in my head, it's like they're just basically, inevitable that they're just yank the chain and then say that, this or some other,
Hey, Derek, you started to break up a little bit. Are you on a speakerphone or headset?
Yeah.
If you can switch over maybe to your live phone, because just the last sentence I couldn't understand.
Cell service.
Okay, all right. I think you got the gist of it, though, right, Chad?
Derek, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. Mm-hmm.
Oh, much better.
You're clear,
Thank you.
Clear as day now.
Yep.
So we lost you about halfway through that. I mean, so the first question it sounds like they signed an option agreement with an investor, like a 6-month option. The first thing I would say is how much are the mortgage payments and how much of a down payment did the investor give them, and did they bring the mortgage current with that payment?
It sounds. I didn't know to ask those questions, but it sounds like he did bring them current. They are. I did know that I asked them how far behind they are. They're 9 months behind. In our state, it takes about 12 months for the foreclosure process to complete, so there's time. So I think that payment is what bought them time. He said that, I guess, according to what's in the contract, if he doesn't perform, it's liquidated damages. They get to keep it.
Okay, so he just signed an option contract with them.
Yeah, it seems like people were, I guess, in his head, he said that they were lowballing him and giving him offers that were not acceptable, which is probably like fair market value offers, or maybe they were offering 50 cents on the dollar. But I wasn't sure, I guess, how to figure out if there's a way to salvage this. I don't know if there is, but I just wanted to kind of run it put it out there.
Well, I mean, the only thing you can do, and I'm assuming that investor was savvy enough to go record his option. That would be the first thing I would do is go to the courthouse and record my put a what do they call it, Jim? Anyways, you can record any
notice of interest usually. Yeah. In Florida.
Yeah. So anyways, you can take your option agreement and go record it against the deed of the property. So that way, that's the only way an option really has any real protection or value for the investor. So if that's the case, making that assumption, all you can do is wait and see if he exercises his option. Now, in 6 months, if he doesn't exercise the option, you need to pay attention to the date on that, like the end date for the option. On that day, they can do whatever they want, even if it is recorded. Now, you might have to go back and get a release, and he can kind of get in the way there. But you pretty much, if he did it the right way, there's really not much you or they can do until he exercises the option or doesn't on that date.
Derek, let me ask you, you referenced a short sale. Do you know for a fact that there's no equity?
Well, no. I mean, he didn't tell me enough about it. He was not willing to talk on the phone. That's also part of another question I wanted to ask, but he didn't talk on the phone long enough for me to even dive into that.
See, because my thought was you want to do what's best for who at this point is essentially your client, who is the seller. So if they just if they would like for this guy to close on it and they get the deposit and everything gets paid off and they move on with their life, I mean, you might ask them for permission to talk to the investor. Maybe you can get his okay to go ahead and sell it. He might just be real happy if you could flip it and he gets paid and they get paid. Yeah. I doubt the investor would have put a big deposit down if it was really a short sale. That wouldn't make much sense. So there has to be equity there. There's got to be equity. Yeah, I think so too. Right, and that might just be that might be a great win to call the seller and just say, hey, it occurred to me what you were saying, and what's your goal here? I mean, would you be happy if this investor closed? And if they say yes, then say, well, would you mind if I reached out to the investor, because I've got a list of potential buyers and investors, and maybe I can help both of you get this done, and that would be a win-win-win for all three of you. And I pretty much guarantee you no other realtor has probably thought of that or offered that to them.
There you go. All right, fair enough. Okay. All right.
The other thing I would want to find out, Derek, is did he give them enough of a deposit to, like, is the mortgage current right now, and will it stay current for the next 6 months? Like, are they, is there enough money there to avoid a foreclosure?
There's no way it's going to happen because they're 9 months behind. So, I mean, if he doesn't, perform, it's either that or the bank's going to take it. So they didn't apply the deposit to the back, the mortgage default. He said it was before he hung up on me. He said it bought him time. So I'm assuming that what that means is that he took that money that the investor gave and then put it towards some part of the back dues. Okay. Well, let's hope so. What I would want to know is, was that enough to bring the mortgage current? Because you basically have 6 months, right, on the option agreement, and you have 3 months before they could pull the trigger. I mean, they could do it right now, but based on what you said, it takes normally 12 months. They may foreclose before you ever get to the end of the option agreement. I don't know. You need more information. Jim's advice, I think, is your best play. Is the investor is going to be able to have they're going to understand the options in the situation probably better than the seller will at this point. It sounds like. So see if you can get their permission. Talk to the investor. I mean, what you want to keep in mind when you're talking to the investor, it would be good to know what instrument he's using. Is it a purchase agreement with a future closing date that he gave them earnest money, or is it an option agreement and he gave them an option fee? It sounds like that's what it is, but it would be good to know what his instrument is and then what his outcome is. If his outcome is flipping it or just wholesaling it, maybe you can become valuable to him, as Jim suggested, in helping him do that. Go find the buyer for it, become the listing agent for it, and then go find the buyer. So just try to get as much information as you can on what they signed with him,
and then go talk to him or her and see how you can provide value to them. But it sounds
Derek,
like there's equity there for sure.
Yeah, it does. And once you get that information, email us, support at all the leads. We'll help you between calls. If you need additional help with this, just reach out and maybe we can advise you. Once you get answers to those questions, we might be better able to advise you how to structure it.
Okay, got it. And then another question I had, I'm sorry, it seems like when, I'm trying to go into like that generic script about, opening the call with, just following up on the letter I sent, seeing if you had any questions. And, we service, I'm a realtor, I service people that are in probate. And I usually get like, some sort of response where, or at least I've been getting this recently, where people will say, my attorney's handling it. And then before I can start to try to dig deeper and still figure out a way to provide value, I get a dial tone. So, I mean, is there a way to kind of like combat that? I don't know, other than to maybe just keep calling them maybe once a week or something like that, to see if I can complete the conversation or something like that. Is there something else I could say or do differently that would help kind of give me some time to finish that out, or at least to convert that into an appointment or something like that?
So what they're really telling you is we don't trust you. You're doing the same thing the last 15 guys were.
Okay.
And if they just hang up and you don't have time, there's not a hell of a lot you can do. You can call back and say, hey, listen, I'm pretty sure we got disconnected. I just wanted to let you know most of the clients we work with don't have insurance on the real estate and the estate, and that's one of the reasons we reach out so early. Do you know if you have insurance? And a lot of times that will stop them in their tracks. Now, be ready, because if they're if they hung up on you and you just called them back and hit them with that fact, they're probably going to be pretty defensive and abrasive. So don't take that personal. Just realize that's your entry point into a conversation. And when they're like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, oh, well, listen, we help a lot of families, and, obviously real estate's one of the things we do, but we do many things. And we partnered with with insurance agents in town that write vacant house policies. The reason is most people don't know, and the attorneys don't tell them for some reason, if a home sits vacant more than 30 days, it's 99% of the time it's not covered by the insurance policy you're paying for anyways. So has anyone helped you do that? Okay. Well, I'm glad I called back, aren't you? And then jump into the conversation. But it's kind of an abrupt way to just kind of disrupt their nervous system, because what they're doing, they're falling into a pattern that they've established since their mailbox started filling up, and you just have to find a way to break their pattern. Humor's a good way to do it too. Like, if any way that you can get humor in there will a lot of times stop the phone from hanging up, crack a joke, make a smart-ass comment, or hit them with something like that.
Okay, makes sense. All right, got it. Thank you.
All right, you're very welcome. Two more in the queue. We have a familiar name there. Carolyn, you're up next. Phone number ending in 6097.
Hi, Jim. It's Caroline. Hi, Chad. Thank you guys
Welcome
for
back.
hosting the call today. Thanks.
Certainly.
Yeah, this is Caroline Ellison, Houston probate agent in Houston, Texas. And quick question, and something I'm really trying to solve, and I know Chad is probably getting sick of me on this, but the outbound call people that you guys have partnered with, I'd love to hire them. My challenge in the current system that you have set up is it's a pay per call, and there's no performance requirement, and so
Caroline, I'm talking to them today at 2 p.m.
Okay.
specifically. Like, this is very specific to you, so we're going to take it offline.
Oh, thanks. Okay.
And we'll give you a call back. We'll give you a call right back afterwards, if that's okay. All right, perfect.
Yeah,
we have two more. Is that good? All right, thank you, Carolyn. Two more in the queue.
Thanks for working on that. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. We try to be responsive. We'll see what we can do for you. We have two more in the queue. Phone number ending in 0313. You're up next.
Hello there. This is Amy.
Hey, Amy. Welcome.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. First of all, I remained very optimistic, and I am a prospector, but recognize that the probate prospecting is something a little new, and the objections and this and that. But so I'm plugging along, and I have the automated letters, that you guys send. And I also recognize that I'm probably in Southern California in the most competitive place in the United States. However, what I'm finding is that, and I'm trying to call a lot without, being way over the top, but I'm finding that a lot of people I'm not getting a lot of answers on the phone, like they're not picking up. I've gotten some, not many. I've gotten no response. There's only been 2 groups of letters that have gone so far. So it's, I realize this is obviously a numbers game, and sometimes it probably takes long periods of time. But more, it seems like the issue is calling and just not getting any answer more than anything. There have been some that, don't have property to sell or this and that. And I just wondered if you had any suggestions. Should I try to email them? Do you have any other suggestions for when you're just not reaching people?
So, Amy, what times are you calling? Are you consistent in that?
Yes, I call. I've prospected for a million years, and I start at 8 o'clock in the morning. I usually do expireds at 8, and I usually don't do the probates till probably 9. And then I've also tried on Saturday mornings. But I haven't tried evenings, but I guess I could do that.
Well, if you look at, there's kind of a resource for you. There's an MIT study in step 3 of our fast track training. After the video, it pops up. And that really changed my business. That's what started what I talked about earlier in the call, where I only meet on Fridays and Mondays. In a nutshell, what that study showed was based on 88,000 prospecting calls. You had 160% higher likelihood of closing if you called between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So that gives you 12 hours of prospecting per week. And those were the success bands on a calendar after they called all day, every day, 7 days a week, probably 12 hours a day. Those were the bands. So 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday was where most of the transactions came from.
Well, then I guess I shouldn't be on your calls, because Wednesday and Thursday in California, I'm on your call at 10 o'clock in the morning. But you're saying
that's okay. You can miss 1 hour. We'll forgive you.
Yeah. And then, okay, well, thank you. I'll try for the 4 to 6. That I haven't really done too much of. And then my second question is that one that I did talk to, he already has a realtor. His attorney had given it to him, and the realtor's already been working on it. The realtor, there's no furniture, but the guy, it's a lot of garbage. It sounds like the house is a mess. So the realtor's been working on the clean out. So it's pretty definite, there's no opportunity to list the property. But, and I have not, by choice, in the past, dealt with a lot of investors, but I'm very open to doing that. And so I asked him, he said that it was in pretty bad, he just volunteered that he hasn't been in the property, but he knew his brother was, he's out of state, but he knew his brother was a hoarder, he said, and that's why this realtor's helping him with the clean out. But so he volunteered that he wasn't sure if they were going to just, try to dump it and sell it, just right now or as is or whatever, or, well, not right now, they're getting the stuff out, or renovate it and maybe sell it at a later point. The family hadn't decided that. So I said, because I've had some investors that just are emailing me, just because I list property. And so one of the investors seems to be pretty reputable. I don't know, he's got on his credentials that he's been doing it 20 years and this and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, bottom line is So I asked the guy if it would be okay if, I showed it if I had an investor. And he said, just submit the offer to my attorney. Others have done so. Just submit it to my attorney. So I guess my big question is, first of all, I've never worked with this investor. He appears to be, do I just give him the address? You can't do like a one-party showing because I don't think the seller is going to sign anything, but I guess I can get the investor to sign something if I give him the address. How do you usually work around that when a property is not on the market and you don't have the listing and it's not even listed?
Well, all you can really do with this one is get an exclusive right to represent buyer agreement signed, and then give him the property address. Let him go do his due diligence and throw a blind offer. Now, the only other thing I would say is the alternative would be you could call the seller back and say, listen, it doesn't take a genius to figure out if I don't let him in the house, he's going to price in that risk, the unknown risk. So because the house has so much stuff in it, do you know if the subfloors are rotted out? Do you know if it has a fuse panel or a breaker panel? Like, these are things that if he can't see that, then he's going to assume the worst, because otherwise he would be putting himself he would have unnecessary risk. So would you like to get a low offer based on fear and unknown, or would you like to get a real offer from my client? Great. Who can show up with the keys and win? And just maybe make that phone call first, because your investor is he's going to take ARV minus 70%, minus repairs, minus a margin, and he's going to throw them a low offer if he has to make it blindly. But they'll get a real offer from a professional investor if they let him do his due diligence. So you might try calling back. If they shut you down again, just sign an exclusive right to represent, give him the address, say, go do your due diligence, and let's throw him an offer and see what happens.
Right. Okay. Yeah, he lived in like Las Vegas or something, and he hasn't seen the house, and he's not coming here yet, and no one seems to have keys, and he seemed very closed about anybody getting in at this point. And everything was just up in the air. We don't know if we're going to renovate it. We don't know if we're going to do this or that. But, and that's when I said, how about if I had an investor? Just, he didn't even want to deal with it. I think he's pretty bombarded. He said just, I don't want to be bothered. Just throw it at the attorney if you have an offer, kind of thing. So I don't think there's a shot at getting.
I would open the door with that and say, listen, if we could just get in and take a look, and if hopefully he'll engage in the conversation. If you can just get him to slow down and listen, and kind of, what I would want to know is, the difference between dumping to an investor and not even reviewing the offers, like saying send them to my attorney, and flipping a house. That's a pretty big range. Like,
right.
Is there money in the estate? Who's going to do the work? Do you know contractors in this area? And that's where you could really bring value. So if there truly is money in the estate, and you have a contractor that has a proven track record and a portfolio, and you can, if you can just get him to engage with you and find these things out, you can say, listen, if we can get in, I'll do this. As soon as my investor leaves, I'll meet with my contractor over there. I'll have him take a look, and I'll even send you some listings that are similar in fit and finish to kind of show you what's being done here today, like people who are renovating homes. So that way you can kind of get an idea of what that might cost. Would that be okay? And then get your contractor to go with you and send him a scope of work and say, here's a scope of work, here's the cost, and here's some pictures of similar homes, what the end product might look like, and follow up with the phone call. And you never know. I mean, he may find so much value in that he says, okay, as soon as we get it cleaned out, let's go do that, and then you become the listing agent on a much higher priced asset. But you've got to get him to slow down and talk to you. And I would say the next best way to do that is by trying to get access to the property.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hang in there, Amy. You're going to do well with this. You come every week. You've got good questions, and you're taking action. You'll start catching. So thanks for participating. We appreciate it.
Great.
Last up, you're very welcome. Last up this week is phone number ending in 5818. It looks like you're the last one this week. Fire away.
Hey guys, Yeah, John Chin here. And this is my first phone call. We just got our leads. We're doing our first mailing this week. But I had a question about calls. And Chad, I heard you kind of give an example of an opener, and I apologize if this is redundant or you already have this in your quick start training, but can you give me just a quick, what are you saying when you first call the PR?
Well, the big thing, and it's in fast track training, and you'll hear it on every role play call that we've done. What I learned is, the most effective way to start these conversations is address the objections before they can come up. So everybody wants to know who you are, how you got their phone number, why you're calling, yada yada yada. And if you remember in fast track, the probate USP is kind of those things. So here's who I am, here's how I got your information, here's why I'm reaching out, and here's a really emotional question that's open-ended that you almost can't, you have to answer. So I would just encourage you to listen to the last couple role play calls and kind of get your own version of that. We don't really provide a script because we usually find that it doesn't serve you guys. So, but figure out your own way to address all those, to get those points out, and then what a good question is. And a good question that usually engages people is something like, what's been the toughest thing for you so far? Or if you could hand one thing off to somebody else and make it their responsibility, what would you start with? Things like that get them into, kind of the emotions of what they're going through, and they'll engage in the conversation. But we unpack that in depth on pretty much every role play call, so I would encourage you to go listen to a few of those.
All right, perfect. That's all I needed. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, great call as always, guys. Thank you so much. And we're actually finishing 7 minutes early for a change, and we got a lot of great content. I always end these calls the same way. First of all, thank you so much for taking nearly an hour out of your day to be here. We very much appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who participated in the call and everyone who showed up for it. I always end these calls by challenging everybody who was here. Take one idea, one thought, one thing you heard on today's call that inspired you. Go out and put it into practice and come back next Thursday and share it with the group. Make it a great week, everybody. Thank you so much, and we will talk to you same time next Thursday. Take care.